Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. Namaste. On page 72 of the Bhagavad Gita, we're going to begin chapter 3, and the clarity of pure devotion said. And remember this dialogue, we've got many dialogues going on at the same time. Dhritarashtra, the blind ambition, is talking to he who is victorious over all. Sanjay, his charioteer, and says, describe what's going on. And Arjuna is asking Krishna, hey, tell me about Dharma. I want to know, do I want to fight this thing or not? Is it really important for us to go to battle? Or, wouldn't it be better if we just hung out and shook hands, give them the kingdom, we'll go off and get a new kingdom ourselves? And Krishna said, no, it is necessary for Dharma to stand up against adharma. And regardless of the fact that the family members are making wrong choices, or making the choices that they're making according to their understanding. I'm not going to complain about their understanding, but we're going to understand it. And it is our duty to make our choice to support the right decisions. Family members, we're going to allow them the freedom and the privilege to make the decisions they want to make for themselves, just as we will request from them the freedom to make our decisions ourselves. I came from a family with 3 brothers. One of them decided to become a financier. One of them became a movie producer, and the other became a good-for-nothing, sadhu type guy. So, here we are, 3 guys, and we're 3 brothers, and we all made different decisions. And none of us are imposing our decision upon the others, but we have a duty to stand up to support the decisions that we made. And then from that place we can see how we can complement each other, how we can help each other, how we can assist each other, how we can support each other for the evolution and the upliftment of the entire family. This is just the message that Krishna is giving. You can't impose upon them. You can't make the decision for them. The same freedom that you want to make your decision yourself, you have to give to them. But if they make the wrong decision, then we may come into conflict. Obviously, this is the situation. And the clarity of pure devotion said, you who are worshipped by the people, Krishna.
Which chapter?
I'm on chapter 3, on page 72. And the clarity of pure devotion said, you who are worshipped by the people, Krishna, if you consider intelligence to be superior to action, why then do you counsel this dreadful action? I mean, it's nicer to be smart than it is just to do something without any knowledge. You got to have knowledge of what you're doing before you do it. Embodiment of the functions of creation, preservation, and transformation, Krishna, and that's his name as Keshava, the one of beautiful hair. Look at all the poetic, poetic licenses that are being taken. He's Keshava, the one of beautiful hair, and yet he's the Ka-A-Sha, a Keshav, the manifestation of the cause of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So he's the embodiment of the functions of creation, preservation, and transformation. My intellect is confused because of these conflicting statements. Tell that one thing by which, without a doubt, I may obtain the highest good. And the respected Supreme Divinity said, O you without sin. And that also means no confusion, the clarity of pure devotion. Even though you're calling yourself confused, you're not confused. I'm calling you no confusion. O you who without sin in this world 2 paths of perfection have been elucidated by me. Union with the wisdom according to the enumeration of the principles of Sankhya, and union with actions by the names or kinds of union. That's Karma Yoga and Sankhya Yoga. Oh, man cannot attain freedom from action without undertaking actions. You gotta work hard to be useless. It's not an easy job. You gotta do something to be able to do nothing. You can't just say, I'm gonna sit here and do nothing, because it's not gonna work. Nor can he attain renunciation or perfection of complete absorption. You can't renounce something till you get it. It isn't yours to give up. So, I met so many sadhus who said, I have nothing. See what a great renunciate I am. And as soon as they got something, they said, wait, that's mine. They didn't want to renounce their renunciation. And they can't get samadhi or complete absorption until you do something. You got to do something. Undoubtedly, there is no being born who can refrain from all activity, even for a moment. Not even one moment can you stop all activity. There's a circulatory system, there's blood flowing, there's breath going in and out, there's all the juices are flowing. You can't refrain from action, not even for a moment, for all beings are required to perform action by the attributes of nature. It's your nature. Nature. Oing ring kling chamunda viche. Who restrains the organs of action while sitting, while the mind remembers the objects of the senses. Such is called a foolish soul, a person of untrue behavior. I mean, here we put on the appearance of meditation and we go to the movies. Is that meditation? I close my eyes and then I'm looking around the room. There are a lot of possibilities in this room. Is that meditation? That isn't even approximating meditation. That is a person of untrue behavior.
Swamiji, if you put your attention to movie, that is meditation?
Well, it depends on the movie. If the movie's about me, then it's not meditation. If it's a movie about you, then I can understand it. Clarity of pure devotion, who has undertaken to discipline the organs of knowledge and action, has detached his mind from worldly feelings. He comes into union with action by means of the organs of action. This is superior. Use your organs of action, your karmendriyas, to come into union, karma yoga, where you're not thinking about what's in it for me, and I'm doing this in exchange for that, and there's no transaction fees. There's no, it's behavior of union through action. This is called karma yoga. This is superior. Perform the activities of your discipline, for action is superior to refraining from action. You can't really refrain, you can try, but you don't really abstain from all action. You can say, well, I'm not going to react to that, but you've already reacted. The very statement that I don't want to react is an anti-action reaction. Even your body cannot be maintained by refraining from action. Go ahead, hold your breath. Uh-oh. He's doing it. No, didn't work. Only those actions performed for the purpose of sacrifice, and sacrifice we mean yajna, yoga, union, achieving union, surrendering the selfishness of ego and attachment, are efficient behaviors free from attachment. Son of who takes away the deficiency of others, Arjuna. Kunti Bhoj, that's Arjuna's mom, was who takes away the deficiency of others. She makes everybody nourished and supported. She's a giver. She just takes away everyone else's deficiencies. Got any lack of anything? That's Arjuna's mom. You have a lack of any, are you in want for something? You have a deficiency? Go see Arjuna's mom. She's going to make you whole. All other actions in this world are actions of attachment. Unless you're making yajna, unless you're making sacrifice, unless you unite through your action, it's an action of attachment. The Lord of all beings born created mankind in the beginning with sacrifice, and said, by this you will attain prosperity and the fulfillment of all desires. Through this sacrifice, you may deeply intuit the gods, and the gods may deeply intuit you. Each deeply intuiting the other will bring about the highest good. Deeply, nididhasana, bhavayet. You're going to deeply feel the intensity of reality as being in harmony and union, in yajna, in sacrifice with the gods. That is, like Bhakdevi said, I travel with all the gods. Through me alone, all breathe, all eat, all see, all hear. Every vibration in the world comes through me. Goes back to thee. It comes through me. And we are in union through our actions. Deeply intuiting the attitude of sacrifice, the gods will bestow the highest enjoyment. I just recently visited a number of bogies who were enjoying a little bit lower enjoyment. And I mean, this was an affair that started on Thursday and it ended on Sunday afternoon. And it just went meal to meal. Oh my goodness. But all the work of man's hands go to his stomach and his appetite is never full. It's incredible. He just brought more food and more food and more food. Thank God there was a homeless shelter down the street and they got the leftovers each time. Deeply intuiting the attitude of sacrifice, the gods will bestow the highest enjoyment. Those who enjoy the gifts from the gods without offering to them are surely thieves. If you take God's prasad, and you take the offering from the gods, and you don't make an offering to the gods, then you're just like a thief who's ripping somebody off. Go ahead, rip off God. See what you get. The virtuous who partake from the remains of sacrifice erase the effects of all sins. Lowly sinners cook and eat for their own selfishness. All existence evolves from food, and from rain does food arise. From sacrifice does rain pour forth, and sacrifice comes from disciplined action. So we do the disciplined action, and that makes a sacrifice. And from the sacrifice comes forth the rain, and from the rain comes forth the food, and from food comes the nourishment as a gift from the gods. And if we don't turn around and at least say, Brahmarpadam, Brahma Habir, Brahma Agnav, Brahma Nakutam, we're thieves. At least you want to acknowledge the presence of God coming through the entire cycle of nourishment. Every time we score, every time we win, every time there is abundance that we get to enjoy, we want to say thank you, God. Thank you, Guru, for reminding us to thank God. And thank Satsang for reminding us to thank the Guru, who reminded us to thank the gods. So this disciplined action, what we call karma yoga, what we call siddhanta char, puja, pat, homa, sangeet, nrit, pravachan, and arpan. These 7 kinds of activities are disciplined actions by which we thank and surrender the selfishness of ego, thanking the gods. From supreme divinity has come forth knowledge of action, And from supreme divinity has come forth knowledge of that which is imperishable. So you got action, which is perishable, and inaction, which is imperishable. Or the knowledge of that which is imperishable. Therefore, supreme divinity is always eternally established in sacrifice. So every time we make a yajna, the supreme divinity is present. Brahmarpanam, whoever does not respect the movement of this cycle lives a useless life of attachment to the impure senses, O son of she who excels, Arjuna. That man who delights in his own soul, who is contented with his own soul, and who is satisfied only with his own soul, he knows of nothing left to be done. Well, I guess we got to finish a lot of stuff before we can know of nothing left to be done. For him, neither is there a purpose for completed actions, nor for incompleted actions, and he regards all beings of existence without selfishness. He has no selfish desire to be acquired from the rest of the creation. It's done. He's got enough. He's satisfied. All he wants to do is rejoice in his satisfaction. Therefore, always efficiently perform all actions without attachment. For the man who performs actions without attachment attains the supreme. For only through actions did Janak and others become established in the attainment of perfection. Janak, the father of Sita, was called Videha because he was living without a body. He had so little attachment, he just ruled the kingdom like a rishi. And others become established in the attainment of perfection. You should act only with perception of the harmony of the world. In whatever way the best of men behave, they establish an example which may be respected by other men. So the best of men, their behaviors, the best of women, their behaviors, the way they cook, the way they sing, the way they do puja, they provide an example to all other men. And that's called a guru. And we want to replicate the example of the guru in our lives. O son of she who excels, Arjuna, for me there is no remaining obligation in the three worlds, nothing worth attaining which has not been attained. Even so, I persist in action. What do you give to the guy who's got it all? He's got it all already. What are you going to give him? Even still, he continues to act. He doesn't hanker for or long for the fruits of his action, but he acts. He continually blesses us. He continually guides us. He continually provides us an example of how we could become if we give up our selfishness. For if ever I did not persist in unwearied action, men will respect my example in all ways, son of she who excels, Arjuna. So I continue to act because people are going to watch me. And if they see me hanging out and kicking back and coming home at night, popping a cold one and watch the boob tube, they're going to follow me in all actions. So better I present a good action, a good example of actions that are worthy for sadhus to follow. If I do not perform action, these worlds will perish. I always say to Mom, first thing she does when she gets a plate of food is she takes half of it and pushes it to the side. I said, why do you do that? She said, if I eat everything, the world will starve. She gives always a portion to the world. So if ever I do not perform action, these worlds will perish, and I will have become the cause of confusion which could destroy mankind. I don't want to cause them any more confusion. Descendant of the light of wisdom, Arjuna. The ignorant act with attachment to their actions. The intelligent should act without attachment, seeking the harmony of the world. Do not try to cause an alteration in the intelligence of the ignorant who are attached to their action. That's just what we were discussing. Do not alter their intelligence or lack thereof. Don't try to transform them. Don't try to convert them to your way of thinking. You don't have to argue. Remember, Shankaracharya said, don't debate idle philosophies with philosophers. No need. Live your life your way. If it's true, they'll see your example and your light, and they'll feel your radiance, and they'll feel your goodness. Don't try to create an alteration in the intelligence of the ignorant. Go ahead. You got to fight a battle, fight the battle. Don't try to convert them on the battlefield. The intelligent one who is united with efficient behavior will take delight in all action. You're trying your best, your way to find your state of perfection. I don't agree with your goal. I don't agree with your path, but I agree with your right to choose. I do support your liberation, just as I'm asking from you my liberation. I don't want you to bind me by the dictates of your dogma. And neither do I want to be bound nor to bind. All actions are performed by the attributes of nature, sattva, raja, tama. If you're in tamaguna and you see only ignorance and darkness and foolishness around you, then you'll act from that attribute of nature. What do I have to say about that? That's not my problem. The soul deluded by his own ego thinks his ego self to be the doer. Oh, one of mighty arms, Arjuna, who knows the principles, this tattva gyan, who knows the principles, distinguishes the attributes of action, understanding that the attributes of nature are revolving around each other. Aim, ring, cling, chamundai, viche. He remains free from attachment. I'm the witness. I'm not the actor. I am not the doer. I am the witness of the actions. You are going to perform the actions according to your nature, O tamasic ones. Now, if you take the inspiration and try to raise yourself from Pashubhav to Viryabhav to Divyabhav, blessings. If you choose to remain in Pashubhav, attached to your lower animalistic nature, blessings. How does that change my life? I must perform the actions according to my definition. You must perform according to your definition. He remains free from attachment. Those who are deluded by the attributes of nature remain attached to the attributes of their actions. I'm tamasic. I am bound by egoism. I am selfish. And I'm going to stay here. I'm right. I'm in a good place. I think myself to be successful.
A republic.
A Republican? Oh. Sorry, Mom. Who acts in accordance with his knowledge should not associate with those foolish beings who do not act according to what they know to be right. We know what is right. If you choose not to act in accordance with the knowledge of what is right and wrong, then we'll just disassociate ourselves. No need for me to maintain the kingdom for you who don't agree with the way I'm running the kingdom. With full renunciation, fix your consciousness in spiritual knowledge, performing all actions for me. becoming free from desire, free from attachment. Fight this disease of darkness. Those men who always followed this doctrine of mine with the highest faith, free from envy, they become free through action. Not free from action, free through action. Because they're acting for me. They're acting for God and for Guru and for what they know to be right. They're not acting according to their selfish desire, which is born of attachment and darkness. Those who are adamant and do not follow this doctrine of mine know that they are deluded in their lack of wisdom and lost in unconsciousness. That's obvious. The wise man makes efforts according to his own perception, according to his own nature. All living beings follow their nature. How can they be stopped? Nature will compel us to manifest our behavior in a certain predisposition. Sattarajatam aim ring kling chamundai viche. How can they be stopped? Anybody who says stop it, they're bound to be subjected to pain. Because you can't stop it. Nature is going to perform according to nature because that's her nature. In the relationship between the senses and the objects of perception, both attraction and repulsion are situated. Avoid the influence of both of them, for they are adversaries who obstruct the way. Both attraction, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, or repulsion, I'm not going to do that. And anti-desire, desire is just as much an attachment as a desire. If I have an anti-desire, that means I have repulsion. I have a sankalpa to abstain from that kind of activity. Is much an attachment as I'm attracted to do that, perform that action. Both of them influence us, and they are adversaries who obstruct the way. Preferable is one's own ideal of perfection, however deficient, to another's ideal, however well observed. Even poverty in the pursuit of one's own ideal is better, while another's ideal is filled with fear. Therefore, each of us must define for ourselves what is our dharma, what is our ideal of perfection. I can influence many people in this life, but I'm only going to change or inspire a change in those who have a similar ideal of perfection. And those whose ideal of perfection is as yet undefined, I try as I will. There is nothing I can do to influence or cause a modification in that behavior.
Maharaj, ideal of perfection রাখতে গেলে জ্ঞান আর ভক্তির সমন্বয় রাখতে হবে।
Absolutely. If you have defined your ideal of perfection, then you have a clear understanding of what is wisdom and what is devotion. জ্ঞান ভক্তি নিঃসন্দেহে যুক্ত করে তোমার ধর্ম মাঝে। Within your dharma, within your ideal of perfection, automatically, gyan and bhakti, wisdom and devotion come into harmony, into union. So therefore, you must fulfill your own ideal of perfection. Even within the same ashram, with the same guru, with the same gods and the same goddesses, each member of the ashram will define their dharma in their own way. And that's your ideal of perfection. Even poverty in the pursuit of your own ideal is better than success trying to copy hers. You won't be successful. You'll never achieve that modicum of success that says, hey, I've actually become the replication of the Guru. And so long as there is an ego left. The only way you can become the image of the Guru, a perfect Shishya, is to surrender the selfishness of ego. Completely. The clarity of pure devotion said, then why does man move to unite with sin? Why does he get confused? Why does he do stupid things? Why do we forget all of this? If we're always intelligent and devoted and we've got this wisdom and we've got this knowledge and this devotion, by what force is he driven even against his will? You know it's not the right thing to do and still you're attracted to it. Why is it? And the respected Supreme Divinity said, desire and anger rise from nature's quality of passion. That's common and crowed. They come from Rajguru. They are insatiable and terribly wicked. Know them as the enemies. Common crowd. As fire is covered by smoke, the highest ideal covered by imperfection, the fetus hidden in the womb, just so is wisdom hidden by these enemies. The wisdom of the wise is hidden by these eternal enemies in the form of selfish desire, which are insatiable like fire, O son of she who takes away the deficiency of others, Arjuna. The senses, mind, and intellect are said to be their residence. Through these, the wearer of the body becomes deluded, and wisdom becomes hidden. Therefore, O best of the descendants of the light of wisdom, Arjuna, first you must control the senses, killing this evil which destroys wisdom and the application of wisdom. The senses are said to be great. Greater than the senses is the mind. Greater than the mind is the intellect. Greater than the intellect is he, or she, or it. Oh, what of mighty arms, Arjuna! Knowing that which is greater than the intellect, subdue your own self by means of your own soul. Let the soul guide your mind, and let the mind control your senses. And let the senses control your breath, and from your Annamaya Kosh to the Pranamaya Kosh to the Manamaya Kosh to the Jnanamaya Kosh to the Anandamaya Kosh. Let the soul be in command. Look deeply into yourselves and find the soul within you. And let that be the leader. Not the senses which will carry you in every direction at the same time. Not the mind which will take in all the data from the senses and say, maybe I should enjoy this anger and desire. Let the soul control. Subdue your own self by means of your own soul. Kill this enemy in the form of desire, which is so difficult to overcome. Iti Tritiyanga Dhyaya. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.
স্বামীজি এখানে আত্মার যে বোধ হয় জ্ঞান এবং নিধিত আসনম ধ্যানাদির দ্বারা আত্মার অনুভব হয়।
Jima. When you know your own soul and you deeply contemplate your soul, then by means of wisdom you subdue your senses and you control your mind continually, bringing it back to the center. This is called Atmagyan, the wisdom of the soul.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see if there are any questions, please.
So, you said we don't want to try to convert others, but does that mean we don't try to convince them that what they're doing is a bad idea, if it is?
Yes, absolutely. We would say to others, do you know the probable outcome of your behavior? Have you any idea? Now, please tell me your objective and your goal and what is your lakshya and what is your path to achieving it. Are you trying to establish a universal harmony and a peace? Or do you want everyone in the world to do it your way, and you'll kill everyone that isn't doing it your way until you're the last man standing? Now, please tell me, what is your goal, and find out how can we work together so you can achieve your goal and I can achieve my goal. Is it possible? Can you allow me the same freedom that I want to allow to you?
Maybe.
Maybe. Well, let's negotiate. Let's find out how to make it happen. If your goal is only to strike out and respond in anger, well, I'm going to have to defend myself. There's no capacity to negotiate.
Now, how you say his goal will be anger?
Well, if he cuts a man into pieces on the street in London, then his goal is only anger. He didn't say, well, let's negotiate, or why don't you withdraw your forces, or, I mean, I'm going to attack a private because some general said, I'm sending the army there. That's no way to negotiate. But if he wanted to negotiate, we could sit down and have a conversation. But if he doesn't want to negotiate, then he only wants to eradicate anyone who is in opposition. I have a duty, it is my dharma, my ideal of perfection, to defend and support my ideal. My ideal is negotiate so that we can achieve a harmony that works for us all. If anyone else's ideal is to slay everybody who disagrees with me, I have no alternative than to eradicate such a point of view. I'm extending an invitation to negotiate. If you only want to negotiate with a sword in your hand, then I have no other alternative than to pick up a sword myself. And I promise you, if you pick up a sword, I'm going to pick up a bazooka. And if you pick up a bazooka, I'm going to take a nuclear bomb. And if you take up the nuclear bomb, then it will only escalate. What is your goal? So that is what we're saying. If you want to negotiate something reasonable that works for everyone, let's come and negotiate. If you say, my only goal is to eradicate you, well, my spirit of self-preservation is going to say, stop, I'm not going to allow that. I have a duty to protect my dharma, and I'm going to fight back and defend myself. And therefore, I'm going to have to come into confrontation with you. Now, this is the same dilemma that Arjuna is facing in his battlefield. I don't want to fight with you guys. Give us what is fair. You can't say, I'm giving you nothing, that's fair. That's not a negotiating position. That's just what Duryodhana said. The defender of evil said, I'm taking everything for my own selfishness and greed, and I want more. And if you don't like it, you'll have no alternative than to fight. His own generals, his own gurus, his own his soldiers, all the priests of his family, the defender of evil said, give him what he wants. And the defender of evil said, no, I cannot give even enough earth to fit on the head of a pin. I will not give him even so much substance as to fit on the head of a pin. And Arjuna said, take it. And Krishna said, can't take it. Can't take it. You have a duty to support the dharma. You have to fight in a righteous war in a righteous way. And
sometimes people cannot fight with them.
Then we have no alternative.
Yeah.
If you can't fight.
Nowadays it's very hard to do that.
It's very hard to do that. Well, it's very hard.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have the solution. I only have the solution for myself. I choose to live on a mountaintop.
That means you have to be very powerful man.
That's true, Mom.
Yeah.
And your love is the power that we're trying to acquire. Your love empowers all of your children to go out and represent you with wisdom and devotion. And so that's what we're trying to do, is to empower others by spreading your love and sharing your wisdom. We are empowering others to join our force, and we are becoming more empowered ourselves. Our army will go out and conquer this universe.
That means everything is pure love.
Oh, pure love is the ocean. It's true. All you need is love. Are there other questions?
I have another question.
Please.
So, it's not useful to have an anti-desire desire? I mean, what if you wouldn't want to have a desire to not perform bad actions?
Well, you have to have discrimination. Now, you have to convince yourself, this is not an anti-desire desire, this is discrimination. Where do I want to go? And what trade-offs do I have to make in order to get there? What compromises will I make in order to achieve my goal? So in English, Ramakrishna's terms, we said kamini and kanchan. These are the two biggest obstructions to all human beings: desires and resources. Desires come up and we need resources to fulfill them. And now I have to say, okay, desires, which ones are affordable? Which ones fit in the budget? And which ones are so expensive, they're going to bind me. I'm going to max out my credit card in no time at all. And now I've got discrimination. I don't have an anti-desire desire. I have discrimination. I say, if I bought that Bentley that I saw last week, do you know I would be making payments for a long, long time? In fact, most probability I couldn't bring it up this dirt road to come up to the temple. I'd have to leave it parked on the highway, and probably the beautiful girls that are inside it would want to stay down there too. They wouldn't want to come up the road, hiking up the mountain. So, maybe that Bentley isn't part of my budget right now. If ever it would be. So this isn't an anti-desire desire. This is a little moment of discrimination. An interlude between stimulus and response. Is the fulfillment of that desire going to take me to where I want to go? I, myself, want to go to the feet of the Guru. I want the Guru to take me to the feet of God, and I want God to take me beyond. Now, will acquiring things of the world and fulfilling worldly desires help me get closer to the feet of the Guru? Probably not. Would serving the Guru with love and respect and gentility and sincerity and integrity and responsibility and dependability, would that help me? Maybe. Now, which one do I want to choose? This is the choice we each make every day, every action. Every time we do anything for any reason, we've got this same criteria by which to discriminate.
Right.
Is this the right action to take me where I want to go according to my sankalp? Or is this just a worldly tangent that's going to waste some time and waste some resources? Or is this a foolish action that's going to take me into darkness and push me farther away from my goal? Those are the three alternatives. So I was just over the weekend, I was in a disco, and they were playing boomba, boomba, boomba music, and the kids were jumping up and down because they don't dance anymore. They jump up and down, they don't dance. And I kept saying, I've got to call Srima and ask her to remind me of my mantra. Mom, I'm forgetting my mantra. Why would I be able to remember my mantra in such a place as that?
So hard.
So hard. So now, before you go to the disco and listen to the boomba, 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 you want to, they don't play music anymore. There's no melody. It's just boomba, boomba, boomba. And the kids were jumping up and down. And they don't dance it.
It
It wasn't even bully boom boom. That's got a rhythm to it. This is a boomba, boomba, boomba. Until your eardrum pop. So, but they don't dance. They jump. And they just keep jumping until they can't jump anymore. So then the ideal is what circumstances are going to cause you to achieve your goal. And those are the circumstances you want to promote. And what circumstances are going to take you farther away from your goal. And those are not an anti-desire. At first it may seem like that, but after a while it just becomes a moment of discrimination. According to my criteria, what I want to achieve is union with the object of perfection. And boomba, boomba, boomba is going to help me remember the mantra any better. Yes, please.
Verse 35 says, preferable is one's own dharma of perfection, ideal of perfection, however deficient to another's ideal. Just talking about discrimination, that seems like it can be a difficult thing to parse when it comes to the guru-disciple relationship, because it's saying that we have to choose our own dharma when, in fact, if we're trying to use the guru as our example, it says even though if it's deficient, we have to follow our own dharma.
It's true. Yes. And let me try and reconcile that for you. So long as it's the guru's ideal of perfection, and I think I might want to have that ideal of perfection, then it's not mine, and I'm trying to mold my behavior in accordance with the example. But when I really believe it, I really fall in love with her, and she really is my example, then I follow it without question. Which means that it's my ideal of perfection, it's my dharma, and there's no issue, there's no question. Now, I'm not conflicted by it. There is no conflict if it's my ideal. So long as it's her ideal, and my ideal is this way, and I think I should be doing that, but I want to do this, and I'm not going to find fulfillment whether I do this or that. There's no salvation. Whatever I do, I did wrong. But if I say, yeah, that is my ideal, then you're no longer conflicted. You naturally behave in that manner. It was Mother's ideal and God's ideal and Guru's ideal that I become involved with the ceremonies that I became involved in over the weekend. And when I performed those ceremonies, after the religious portion, there was a social portion in which the disco started and the boomba, 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 and all the kids started jumping up and down. And that was part of the ideal of perfection. I wasn't conflicted. I have no difficulty. I mean, it was exciting to watch the kids with that much energy. Oh, boy, did I remember my time. Of course, in my days, we used to get to dance. But now, it's difficult to get a bunch of kids together to dance. They don't all go to Arthur Murray anymore. So the ideal is different. If you're fulfilling your ideal of perfection and it's your ideal, there's no conflict. But as long as it's her ideal, it's better that you perform your own ideal, however deficient it is. Go off and do what you think is the best, the highest and best usage of this tool while you are in manifested existence. And if you don't find success doing what you're doing, you'll realize that was not a very good ideal. And you'll leave it and you'll gravitate towards this ideal with greater conviction and greater energy and a greater sense of empowerment and a sense of commitment, which makes you realize that you can devote yourself 100% to your ideal of perfection. And not just a little bit here when it's convenient and a little bit there when it's not convenient. And you'll give yourself 100% and you'll realize the true freedom through action.
I have a question on verse 11.
Yes, please.
It says that it says, through this you may deeply intuit the gods, and the gods deeply intuit you, and each deeply intuiting each other, you will bring about the highest good. So when you meditate on the gods, do they meditate on you?
Absolutely. Absolutely, there is a relationship established with the gods. As you look into her eyes, she is looking back at you. Here's looking at you. As you look into her eyes, she's looking back at you, and you get into this staring competition, where your eyes are a mirror of your soul, and your soul is expressing the sincerity and the truth and the totality of your commitment. And you're there 100%. And sometimes you look into the eyes of your beloved and you just cease to be. And then you know you're in love.
You're so nice to look.
Yeah. It is so nice to look. Sometimes you look into the eyes of your beloved and you just cease to be.
On verse 15,
Yes, please.
it says that, at the end of it, it says, the supreme divinity is always eternally established in sacrifice. What exactly does that mean?
Nifty. It means that in every time you come in the perfection of union, you're in union with God. Every time you unite completely so that there is no you and there's no me. And you stare in the eyes of your beloved and there's only this love, this bond of love, and there is no you and there is no me, then there is God. And the supreme divinity is always established in sacrifice. If you give up your ego, then God is present. If you unite through self-surrender, in that yajna, in that yoga, in that union, there's God. Now, whatever it is that you unite with, God is present. You may stare at your computer screen for hours together and forget about yourself and only think about zeros and ones or whatever it is that you're doing. And you get so intimate with the process, you cease to be. God's in the computer. And you stare into the eyes of your beloved and you look into her eyes and all you see is radiant light. And that radiant light, that union, that communion is God. Everywhere you go into yoga, into union, you find God. No matter if it be with a chocolate cream pie or a good book.
Swamiji, I went every store when I do.
Yes.
When I goes there, first thing I offer all food to Mahadev. When I go to store, I offer all food to Mother and Mahadev. After they are going to buy.
Wow, and she goes into these three-story department stores and she offers every article to God.
Yeah, I do.
Shita-batoshna sanchanam. Excellent.
We have a question from Julia.
Namaste, Julia.
So when we witness the pull of the worldly ways throughout our day, and we focus, think, pray on you, our gurus, do you accept this as our ideal actions?
We sure do. We sure do accept it as your ideal. Your ideal of perfection is manifest through your behavior, Julia. No matter what you choose to be, in what way you choose to behave, in what manner you choose to manifest your actions, in that way, we accept that as an offering to us. Gu karas twanda karas cha. The syllable gu is the darkness, and ru karas tejas uchate, the illumination of the light. And you are illuminating your darkness with the light of your knowledge and your behavior, your conduct, your karma. That is the offering of light into the darkness. You are honoring your guru by every behavior you perform without confusion. with commitment, with sincerity, with discipline, without selfishness. That is the offering to your Guru.
You said that, well, it says in the text that no beings can stop acting for even a moment.
No,
But wouldn't Nirvikalpa Samadhi, wouldn't they stop acting
No.
for a moment? No?
no. Would you stop breathing?
I don't know.
Well, if you did, you wouldn't stop for very long. Would your heart stop pumping? Probably not. It only stops pumping in a corpse. Would your circulatory system stop circulating? Probably not. It only stops in a corpse. So there are activities going on within you. They are maybe called involuntary actions, but they are activities nonetheless. And they are activities pertinent, special to you, to that individual Vyakti Rup, that individual form. So even for a moment, we don't stop acting. But if we control all of our actions, and define those actions, and manifest perfection through those actions, and achieve or aspire to achieve the ideal of perfection through those actions, through action we achieve that state of liberation, by which we're not bound by selfish desire or anger or attachment. And then we are like Janak and all the other rishis who were Videha. They were liberated while living. Even though there was action going on, they were not attached to the action, and therefore they didn't recognize the action. The action did not bind them in any way. It did not enslave them or bind them in any way. They were unattached actions. You're not attached to your breath, although you'd be very attached if it stopped. You're not attached to the circulatory system, although you would become attached as soon as it stopped functioning. It just goes on with the regularity of a water wheel, as it says in the text. That was in the Devi Gita. With the regularity of a water wheel was to mean the regularity of time. It just continues. Om Aing Ring Kling Chamundaya Diche. And that's just where we want to go with all of our actions. Whether we're writing a book, whether we're cooking a meal, whether we're doing a puja, whether we're teaching a class, whether we're making a website, whatever we're doing goes on with the regularity of a water wheel. We're just doing it in love, in joy, striving to manifest the ideal of perfection in every action, not one wasted movement, not excess ingredients, not too much, not too little, just the perfect balance and harmony in everything that we do.
That would be so good.
Yeah, that is what Mother calls show respect through your actions.
Right.
You respect your actions, and you will achieve the Shri, the Shanti, the peace in your mind and in your heart. That is respect through action. To view, to perceive, to witness every action with the equanimity, without confusion, without conflict, without bondage, with the equanimity of someone who is fixed in the soul. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.